much, President. Let's face it, we can't say we weren't warned. Fossil fuel consumption is unsustainable. And of course, we should have been a long way down the road by now, moving to environmentally friendly, renewable, public owned energy. We could have built, we could have invested, we could have been ready for the inevitable crisis, but we kicked the can down the road, allowing greenwashing by big business. And now, having shot ourselves in both feet with backfiring sanctions that have allowed Russia to sit on a record current account surplus while turning off the gas to Europe and forcing old people and poor people to go cold or poor this winter because of the action of European powers. It's absolute lunacy. As big energy shakes its hand with glee, US LNG operators laugh and reap their dividends. And Europe goes back to burning more fossil fuel. It's about time the Commission and the Council started to cop on. Ordinary citizens of Europe paying in their cost of living or environmental damage is not the way forward. We need publicly owned energy.
Welcome to another episode of You Left Shit Out. I'm your host, Compton J or J. Let me fix this here. I think that's better. Love this video. Love Claire. She's always delivering fire. Given a sort of a master class in what politicians should be like in the United States. That's what the left looks like. So if you compare people like her to our politicians, you clearly see why people like us and RBN don't label the squads, but Ro Khanna, all these people's AOC, we don't label them as left. They're more center. That's what they are. They're more of a center. And then Nancy Pelosi is center right, and then the Republican Party is far right. So that's the dynamic, or that's the sort of levels that I see. So let's toss the graphic up and cover what we're going to be talking about today. So, guilty conscious cheerleading. Because I hear about the pardon from Biden, and I'll put the graphic back up in just a second. But I know Biden is not a good actor. So my reaction is tempered. Because I know this Biden didn't wake up at 80 years old and say, hey, I'm going to start doing the right thing today. That's not what happened. So I was waiting to hear more of what the details were. But that didn't stop reformists from jumping on and hollering, this is a massive step towards the legalization of marijuana, which is being nice. Let's say that's an exaggeration. That is clearly an exaggeration. As we will dive into what this actually does, what this pardon actually covers. And then we're going to discuss why then would somebody who has so much policy criticism or policy opposition to Biden, why are they so giddy to jump on anything he does they want to jump on? Do I have my notes? I do not. Oh, my phone is back there. So let me see. I'm going to bring up my notes here. Give me a second. Because I want to get this correct. So, so let's put the graphic back up. So we're going to be discussing that. But you can see in the other little box to the right, blue box, white writing, you see it says pardoning 6,500 who aren't in custody. So that's something we're also going to zero in on for this discussion. Let's see if my stuff is ready now. All right, it looks like my notes are ready. So let's expand this here. So midterm election. So we'll discuss how this Biden pardon is really just a midterm election gimmick. Just like everything that has been labeled, oh, we're winning, Biden's doing all these winning, right? We'll kind of discuss all of this is just really a shell game hiding the fact that this is a midterm strategy trying to do something about the awful polling that has been seen about the Democrats in recent months. We'll talk about, of course, the pardon, who it pardons. We'll discuss, like I said, the eagerness to jump to that and a guilty conscience. But let's see where I want to start with here. First, let's do the chat check, and let's do a like check in just a moment before we get started. We got a lot going on, so I felt like I needed to do a stream because we have RBN in multiple places. We have RBN. Sabby is going to be out in DC for the Julian Assange March. She's one of the speakers. We have Rome that just touched down in Jackson, Mississippi, delivering something like 12,000 bottles of water. So I felt like, okay, so that we have content for today. This kind of fell in our lap, though, because I expected this to be a segment sort of thing. Oh, Biden does this, and then we'll talk about how this is not really what they're trying to project it to be. But I was mildly surprised that so many on the reformist camp had already jumped on this. This is a great, massive thing. So let's do a where are my notes here? Let's do a chat check. So let's scroll up to the top. Absolutely, which we're gonna do. So the question or the statement in question is: can we still acknowledge that it's still progress? Absolutely. Acknowledging progress is not the problem. It's describing that minimal progress as massive. Because, well, I don't want to get into the discussion until we get there. But I'm supposed to be just doing a chat check here. Cedar, Vosh, Hassan, Pac-Man on the background. Cedar, I didn't see a video. I went to the Majority Report and they hadn't done a video. I'm sure they're gonna be doing one today, or if not, they haven't already done one. So that's the reason why Cedar's not on there. Vosh, I don't follow Vosh. I know Vosh because you guys tell me about Vosh, but I don't independently know who Vosh is outside of people telling me he said this and he said that. I don't know him. I've seen like 3 clips of his that I used in a stream. So I don't know Vosh well enough. I don't take Vosh seriously. I don't take him seriously whatsoever. Like Vosh and the people who listen to Vosh aren't going to be on the battlefields of the revolution. That's not who they are. I don't take them seriously at all. Same with Hassan. Like I don't take them seriously. Their venue is only Twitch, a gaming system. That just doesn't that's just bizarre to me that's how that got started. So I'm very, and then Pac-Man is a liberal. So he's very dry. He's a liberal. I don't yeah. I feel like the people who I talk to or may be talking to or RBN could be talking to don't have that much overlapping audience with David Pac-Man. I feel like his audience is squarely in the liberal camp. I feel like some people on a majority report TYT, because of their history, not their current policy, but because of their history, they still are thinking that this is a left outlet. So we may have more overlapping audience with them. So yeah. So let's see. What's up, peeps? No, we tend not to, unless we know people are saying, "Oh, we can't make it," or it's a scheduled show like Nick and CJ show. The reason we don't put, like, because we never know who could show up. Like yesterday, I had a stream. I didn't know Rome was going to show up, and he showed up. I think that happened twice this week. So because of that, we don't really announce, because literally somebody in this stream, like Nick, could be watching and he can just join. So yeah, hopefully that answers or clarifies that. So you got to it, Captain Obvious. You sort of answered part of what I was saying already before I even got there. So I'm here. RBN. Look at the clown card. He's talking about. Let me put the clown card back up. This clown card is, I believe, he's referring to. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put them. I wouldn't use the term clown car, but I get that this is a comment from me. But I wouldn't use the term clown car necessarily for this, because I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain more. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and then maybe I'm being naive by giving them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, the Uhuru, Nick will be going out to visit them. I believe it's this month. I think it's next week. And we're trying to get them on to our activist summit. So look for that. Yes. By describing in this way, you're pushing the Overton window to the right. Just imagine if I literally gave you a quarter of a slice of bread, like a piece of bread like this. And I'm like, I just fed this person this grand meal. You see, it's like to answer to also interject the previous comment. You see how it's progress. You gave me a quarter of a slice of bread. This is a step. But if you're describing it as I was given a full 4-course meal, that's where it begins to go, okay, now we have to push back on that, because it's just not true. But that's what it does. Yes, in the American political system, since this is a center-right country, we are considered far-right, because you have to understand, when they're saying far-right, they're saying compared to them. So if Republican says far-right, we are far-right compared to far-left. I'm sorry, we are far-left. Vice versa, what I just said, vice versa. So we are far-left compared to far-right. So if you're what's his name? Ted Cruz, who I consider to be far right, when he's talking and he says, yes, RBN is far left, we are far left to him. We are. But if you compare us to an international sort of scale, no, I would say we're just left. I wouldn't even say we're far right or far left. I would just say left. Because there's a lot of people that's more left than us. Nick always says, Rome is the furthest left person on this channel. There is zero left as in a movement nowadays. only right, ultra right, and extreme right. So the people like reformists, I get. I don't need to go into that. Yeah, I get. Of course not. Of course not. They're gonna make. They gotta have to have that guy as a as a reminder to any other journalist thinking about doing this. This is about public pain that the empire, the United States empire, is trying to deliver here. I absolutely believe that he will. Trump will win POTUS again if he decides to run. I absolutely do agree. He has to do something positive after the OPEC fiasco, and I think it's Margaret Kimberly referred to something like this, or maybe I'm mixing her up with somebody else. Right. So this is more accurate. So I don't know if he took it down, but like Jordan Sheraton from Status Quo, when he's breaking his news, he has a person, an inmate in a cell. Like, that's not accurate, because this doesn't release anybody from jail or prison. All 6,500 people are not in custody. Word, Pete. Can we buy these two Irish politicians tickets to DC to scream at all our useless ones? Yes, I'm finding a lot of content I use. They're Irish Marxists or Irish communists, like Marxist Paul. I use his videos in tutorial videos. We of course play her videos here, so maybe that's cool. Let me see this. That's a Maury lie. Absolutely. All right, so maybe a couple more. Right. Biden and the Dems will okey doke, don't fall for it, y'all. So that's another thing. You see how the student loan thing is sort of falling apart? They've already peeled away almost 1 million people from initially who was going to qualify. Now those who have government money loans, but it's held by private banks, you don't qualify no more. It's something like 800,000 people no longer qualify. Just dropped out. And then there's going to be a lawsuit. So these are very house of cards sort of tactics they're using to hope that stands up until we get to the midterms. If they fall apart after, they don't give a fuck. And I think Rick Solis, maybe you're hinting towards that this is not actually what it is it's saying. And another thing, that immigrants are excluded. We're going to get to that. Immigrants, so deportation through the courts is the number one reason for deportation is drug activity. So immigrants rights organizations aren't happy about being excluded. And I think when we get to the Democracy Now! Video, you'll see them speaking about that. So I think I prefaced it enough. We already have oops. Oh, he says that. So when I say oop, it's something in the background, obviously, that none of you can see. For me, my oops are usually connected to something I click wrong, which is what happened just now. So now let's look and see. All right, so let's like the stream. We have 178 people watching right now and 95 likes. Can we push that to 150? That's 55 more people. 55 more people. Punch that like button, and that'll get more people into the chat. And let's have this discussion. Maybe we have people that are fans or listeners or subscribers to some of the people we're referring to on this graphic. And we want you to speak up. Don't feel muffled like you can't talk because a lot of people may have critique for some of the people on the screen. But if you're here and oops, that was the wrong button I pressed. You see what I said when I say oops. So if you're here and that applies to you, absolutely speak up and so we can have this discussion. Let's be respectful. I like discussion like this. So let's bring up the first item here. And like I said, let's like the video. Let's try to get to 150. And is this the first? Oh, the first. It's the first. Oh, yeah. The first video is a democracy now. So let me pause it there. Let me let that open fully before we get started. Hang on a second here. Let me click on this here. Lloyd. I'm subscribed to all of them and have picked up on how they cheer on Biden and even use that lame nickname, Dark Brand. Yes. So this is what I'm going to start saying moving forward. I'm trying to scale back some of my critiques, so I'm not going to be as harsh. I'm trying to just stay on policy here. You know, when they're good, they're good. Some reformists. And when they're not, we say something. So let's take it from that standpoint. So if you're subscribed, that's not a bad thing. Me in a business, I have to subscribe to some. I think I'm subscribed to the Humanist Report, and maybe Majority Report. So it's not a problem. But as long as we understand the context, that they're good in some areas and they're bad in some areas. This happens to be one they're bad in, and it could be, in my opinion, because there's no reference point to them. What they're reading about this part and has no personal connection. So it's just words, kind of like you're just reading about history, about people in history. It's like, yeah, you knew these are people, but it's still in an abstract. So why does Bryce have to be coming over here asking damn good questions here? Bryce, how often are they good though, CJ? And that's the thing. I don't know. I haven't counted. I'm just giving a blanket statement that if they're good, then yes, they're good. And if they're not, then they're not. So maybe I should start doing videos on when they do something that I say something, a critique, or say something I agree. Maybe to show that it's not all bad. I'm trying to try something different here. That's just follow your own station, CJ. Absolutely. All right, so let's get back. Thank you for liking the video. I do see the likes going up. We're trying to shoot for 150. But this first video's Democracy Now. Talking about it. And I wanted to start here to kind of set the tone with information. To set the tone for the discussion. What was I? What's the title of this? It's called. Oh, I did not even update the title. Did not update the title. Hold on 1 second here. Guilty conscious cheerleading. Let's go with that title. How about that? Guilty. I had to do this old search on guilty conscience, the difference. Yeah. I'm exaggerating, but yeah, I did have to make sure I was using the right one. So let's get into the topic. There is a smaller topic after this one that I just saw on Jimmy Dore, where a Raytheon exec teaches at Harvard, and they protested her either today or yesterday, and I want to, or a couple of days ago, and I want to cover that because it's very, very telling that we have Raytheon people teaching. And guess what she was teaching? Climate change. Yes. So that video's or that segment is next. I couldn't believe it. It was just absurd, teaching a class on climate change, and you're a Raytheon. So let's listen. Let's see how much we watch of this video. I'm not sure how much.
Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President Biden's announced he'll pardon anyone convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law in a major step towards the decriminalization of cannabis. Biden announced his plan in a video posted on social media.
As I said when I ran for president, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities. And that's before you address the racial disparities around who suffers the consequences. While white and black and brown people use marijuana at similar rates, black and brown people are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionately higher rates. So today, I'm taking 3 steps to end this failed approach. First, I'm announcing a pardon for all prior federal offenses for the simple possession of marijuana. There are thousands of people who are convicted for marijuana.
It's very key. It's very important, I should say, to understand and listen what he said prior. This is why I don't understand why people jumped on this. He's like the jail graphic. This is not for anybody going through the system now who are under for the charge of marijuana possession. This doesn't apply to any of them. This doesn't apply to immigrants also. But let's let the video play.
Marijuana possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result of that conviction. My pardon will remove this burden on them. Second, I'm calling on all governors to do the same for state marijuana possession offenses. Third, the federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. So I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. Even as federal and local regulations of marijuana change, important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales should stay in place. Too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana. It's time that we right these wrongs.
As President Biden calls on governors to also pardon people found guilty of marijuana charges at the state level, we're joined now by Cassandra Frederique. She is the executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance. Thanks for being with us. Were you surprised, Cassandra, by this announcement? So often when you come to a point like this, the pardoning of all people convicted of marijuana possession at the federal level, it is grassroots organizations and alliances that have pushed something like this forward.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Amy. I'm really happy to be here. I think we were open to the president's announcement for a really long time. Groups on the ground have been pushing for us to get to a place where we're descheduling, decriminalizing, reinvesting in communities, and really leaving cannabis prohibition behind. And so the president's announcement yesterday was an opening gesture to a much broader conversation.
Well, before we talk about that broader conversation, explain.
Now, you see how tempered she explained what Biden did. Cassandra Frederique. And you can find her on Twitter at Cassandra with a K_Fred. You see how tempered she is? Just keep in mind how she's describing what Biden did compared to when we get to people like Jank, people like Kyle. I just trying to remember. I remember them being very giddy in the video. And Rational National being very excited. Just keep that in mind, and keep in mind her reaction And she's part of an organization that deals with this. So she's closest to the pain of people affected by these type of laws. So listen to the person, listen how the person who's closest to it describes it versus the people who kind of just read these about people and don't have any personal connection or understanding about it. So let's listen to how she describes it again. Notice how tempered she is.
Here, I think we were open to the president's announcement for a really long time. Groups on the ground have been pushing for us to get to a place where we're descheduling, decriminalizing, reinvesting in communities, and really leaving cannabis prohibition behind. And so the president's announcement yesterday was an opening gesture to a much broader conversation.
Well, before we talk about that broader conversation, explain what it means. He's talking about federal charges. Anyone convicted of federal charges of pot possession are pardoned. So who does this include and who doesn't it include?
So it's important to contextualize that these pardons actually remove legal barriers to things like employment, housing, licensing.
Right. This does not release anybody from jail. No one. These are people not in custody. Let me go to another group. I'm going to bring something in here for you. Do I have it here? When did I watch it? Oh, let's just go there. I'm going to go to status quo. Man, I don't know how to make it stay. I want to show the graphic. Anyway, where you can see that it shows the person in jail. Where's my phone? I'll get my phone later when I play a video. So I'll show you what I'm trying to get to now. I'll show you it, but I'll get to it later as to not hold up the stream here. So let's get back to the video.
Public benefits. And this is an arena of around 6,500 people. Most people that are currently in the federal system are not there for simple possession, but this is going to be really helpful for those 6,500 people.
This is key to understanding because drugs are typically, the vast majority are going to be prosecuted by the state. So there's a handful of reasons why that you're even getting to a federal charge when we're talking about drugs. So so he's picking this sliver of people that he's going to affect, but it's being projected like he's doing these things for everybody, and he's simply not. And it's not an automatic pardon. You have to apply. So let's listen to some more.
People. It will also cover those in the District of Columbia who are under this federal jurisdiction, that they will also have the opportunity to get their offenses, their code offenses pardoned as well.
So we're talking about people who are in prison currently, is that right? And also, of course, people who are not in prison but have this record. How many do you know will be freed from prison immediately?
Oh, I didn't finish saying the other reasons. If you get to the federal, you cross state lines with a lot of weight, with a lot of drugs. That could be a reason. Or you're moving a lot of weight. Like a lot of weight. So it's very unlikely that you have a federal charge for simple possession. This is the reason why there's nobody in prison now that this would affect. This is 6,500 people that is more about the application process for rentals, for housing, for loans, for employment.
So what we have found is that there are not that many people, if any people, that are currently in the federal system currently solely for simple possession. What we know is that a majority of the people that are going to be impacted by this pardon are people who have these convictions, who are currently navigating the really devastating collateral consequences associated with a federal conviction on simple possession. Remember that this is about removing legal barriers, but these people still have convictions on their records. And the other thing that's important is that that non-citizens were excluded from this, which is really unfortunate because people who are non-citizens, cannabis is one of the main reasons why people are detained or deported. So as I said, this is an opening gesture for what we are pushing for to be a broader conversation.
Let me allow.
So let's rewind that back because it's key for our undocumented brothers and sisters to hear this. And if you are standing in solidarity with our brothers and sisters who are undocumented, listen closely about this part she's saying about how it's not covering the undocumented.
Associated with a federal conviction on simple possession. Remember that this is about removing legal barriers, but these people still have convictions on their records. And the other thing that's important is that that non-citizens were excluded from this, which is really unfortunate because people who are non-citizens, cannabis is one of the main reasons why people are detained or deported. So
cannabis is one of the main reasons people are detained or deported, and they are excluded. You see how the reformists sort of play massive step, but it's never the people at the very bottom. And who's at the very bottom here? Being a convict, you're at the bottom. But being an immigrant and a convict, you're lower than that. You see how they're not affected, but we can go out and cheer. This is a massive step forward. What do immigrants think? Would they describe it that way too? She's not describing it that way. I don't know if you heard it. She is barely giving him any credit for this in the way that she described what this is. It was extremely tempered. But let's continue.
So as I said, this is an opening gesture for what we are pushing for to be a broader
right. An opening gesture, not a massive step. Is that a huge difference? If I say I took a massive step towards the door, wouldn't you think I covered a lot of ground towards that destination by using the term I took a massive step? Would you call shuffling your feet 2 times, covering maybe 6 inches, would you consider that a massive step? But that's what we're taking, and that's what we're describing it as a massive step. You hear how a person who is the drugpolicy.org, that's the organization that she runs dealing with this. You hear how she talks about it?
Let me elaborate on that further with a quote from Jane Shim, the senior policy attorney for the Immigrant Defense Project.
The senior attorney for the Immigrants Defense Project. Listen to what they say.
Statement reads in part, it's extremely disappointing that the administration went out of its way to exclude undocumented immigrants. Furthermore, even immigrants who are pardoned may remain at risk of detention and deportation because...
Yeah, I'm going to put that back up there, and I'm going to play it again, don't worry.
Furthermore,
but I want this up here. So sending people to jail for possession marijuana has upended too many lives. This is him. I wanted you to hear his tweet or read the tweet for those listening. For conduct that is legal in many states. That's before you address the clear racial disparities, plural, around prosecution and conviction. Today, we begin to right these wrongs. Really, how ironic, the person who shepherded the crime bill, who put in all of these disparages, these racial discrepancies, I should say, racial discrepancies in sentencing. The audacity. Let's play.
Furthermore, even in
I'm going to rewind it so we can hear the full statement.
To be a broader
Let me
conversation.
elaborate on that further with a quote from Jane Shim, the senior policy attorney for the Immigrant Defense Project. Her statement reads in part, "It's extremely disappointing that the administration went out of its way to exclude undocumented immigrants. Furthermore, even immigrants who are pardoned may remain at risk of detention and deportation because of a marijuana offense, thanks to our punitive immigration laws." Cassandra.
That's exactly right. And, Drug Policy Alliance has learned an incredible amount of the intricacies between immigration policy and drug policy over the last decade. And in fact, most people don't realize that our first drug laws were xenophobic immigration policies. And so
Xenophobic immigration policies. Did you hear that? I'm going to let her say it again, but why I'm stopping it, because I want you to be able to, oops. Okay, there we go. Drug Policy Alliance. I said drug policy only. It's Drug Policy Alliance for the full name of the organization she's with. Now let's get back to what she was just saying here.
In drug policy over the last decade. And in fact, most people don't realize that our first drug laws were xenophobic immigration policies. And so this is why Drug Policy Alliance is working with our groups around the country to really figure out how do we continue to push where the president is right now to a broader conversation that's actually going to bring the necessary material condition changes that our community needs.
So what's that broader conversation? What are you actually demanding?
So we are demanding that the president actually deschedule and decriminalize cannabis. The cannabis should not be in the Controlled Substance Act, and that we actually need a situation where we are removing the legal barriers that people are facing around employment, licensing, housing, benefits, and immigration, right? Also, this is time for the president to really focus with the Congress to actually push forward federal legislation. The federal legislation that's been introduced, like the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, includes the
Man, if I had that.
that includes resentencing, expungement, and the federal government funding the states to do expungement as well. And so, we think that this is super critical. And we also really want people to understand that we are excited to have this conversation, but are very clear about what we know is necessary. We've seen cannabis regulation happening across the country, and we know what works and what's best for communities.
So can you talk about the MORE Act, which stands for Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, passed twice by the House?
Yeah, so this is the first federal cannabis regulation bill that passed in Congress in the House of Representatives. It's passed twice. The current iteration of this bill is in the Senate, and that's the Cannabis Administration Opportunity Act. And those things kind of marry a lot of the same things that really work to do the things that I've been talking about: descheduling, decriminalizing, providing relief to communities most impacted, as well as reinvesting in communities from the tax revenues that we're getting.
So now Biden is saying the governors have to do the same. How many states? We're talking recreational marijuana legal in 19 states, Washington, D.C., and Guam. Where do you see movement there? And who is most impacted by these laws?
So what we know is that cannabis laws have impacted millions of people around the country. And we also know that it's disproportionately impacting communities of color, right? And so when we are looking at these pardons that are really trying to remove legal barriers at the federal level, it's mostly impacting, there's a disproportionate amount of people that are communities of color. But what we also know is, and why I keep coming back to the work that Congress needs to do, is that even if states create pardons, there's still people that are still going to be impacted because the federal barriers have not been changed, right? So governors are, with governors, we really want them to expeditiously pardons forward, but we recognize that a lot of that is going to be impacting communities of color, but we really need the federal government to remove the barriers now. If the president understands that cannabis legalization or cannabis regulation or cannabis prohibition has created barriers for people getting access to housing, employment, housing, benefits, and really, and for us, we're including the conversation of deportation and detention. Let's not only have the conversation of the descheduling of cannabis, but also let's have the conversation of changing the administrative barriers that are impeding people from being full participants in society.
Well, Cassandra Frederick, clearly we have a lot more to talk about, but we have no more time today. Executive Director of the...
Yeah, so we actually end up watching the whole thing. So it was like almost 10 minutes or about 10 minutes. So that's a more tempered response. Somebody who's actually in the fight on a day-to-day basis. So now, let me see what I have in my notes here. So let's talk about. Let's see. I'm reading my notes here, seeing where I want to go. So let's go. Actually, let's go here to More Perfect Union. So More Perfect Union, because what I want to do is dispel all the stuff you're gonna hear in these videos I'm gonna play of the Reformists. So let's go to this next part here. This is a video from More Perfect Union discussing what Biden actually promised. Because somebody in one of the videos is going to say Biden kept one of his promises by doing this, which is not entirely accurate. So we're going to play that video where it talks about it, or some of it. I think this is a 5-minute video, but it's unlikely to play all 5 minutes. But I'll read it to you, the caption. I think you see it on the screen. Let me take that off. All right, so maybe that'll make it a little bit bigger here. Oops, wrong one. This one, where it puts me at the bottom. All right, so let me read it first. So this first part says, breaking, President Biden to issue an executive order pardoning all people convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. He will also ask for an expeditious review of how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. The second part is here, the part we're going to zero in. More than 2,700 people are in federal prison for non-violent cannabis offenses. You notice they're saying simple possession when they're describing who they're pardoning, but they're not describing non-violent drug offenders, which is the reason why aren't we targeting those? Because that would mean people in prison, right? So more than 2,700 people are in federal prison for non-violent cannabis offenses. Biden pledged to pardon them. This is the pledge. He pledged to pardon them when he ran. We spoke to people like Parker Coleman, who's been serving 60-year sentence for non-violent weed charges. So let's listen. There's multiple stories in this video, but we'll listen to maybe one or two of them.
Joe Biden, fucking fix this.
In the mid-90s and early 2000s, I was working on a career in the music industry, working with industry legends like Snoop Dogg and Tupac Shakur's recording group, when I was approached by a confidential informant who purchased $900 worth of cannabis from me on 3 occasions. I was prosecuted federally and was sentenced to a 55-year mandatory minimum as a first-time offender.
We were one of the first dispensaries.
55 years for selling, what would, if you added together, I think he said $900 worth of cannabis, $1,800 worth of cannabis. But people on Wall Street had hundreds of thousands of people lose their homes, or thousands of people lose their homes, lose their savings in the 2008 crash. Nobody's in prison, or the vast majority of them are not in prison. So who's deciding what's a crime? We as the working class have to understand, working class and poor, who decides what's the crime is the ruling class, and a crime to keep you, to keep the status quo. Because if you ask the average homeowner who lost their home or lost their savings, they will say, hell yeah, the people who made this happen should be in prison for life. That's what they would say. But you mean selling weed get you 55 years? There's people that have manslaughter, second-degree murder who don't get that. That is absolutely absurd. 55 years. Let's continue.
Dispensaries in the country. We received over 2 decades in prison for a nonviolent cannabis offense. I'm currently serving my 14th year in prison, and I have 6 left.
At 19, I was charged with simple possession of marijuana in Mississippi, and I got sentenced to a year in jail and 5 years probation. At the end of the 5-year sentence, I was picked up for conspiracy to traffic marijuana. My full sentence is 60 years, and this is my 12th year locked up.
So after I was released from prison, I decided to help to get the people I left behind out of prison. There's a number of people in there whose sentences are more ridiculous than mine, and they don't have celebrities and political figures pulling for them like I did. Currently, there are roughly 2,700 people serving federal prison time for a nonviolent cannabis offense. There are murderers in prison and rapists and terrorists and everything who are serving a fraction of what I was sentenced to.
That's what I just pointed out. That's exactly what I just pointed out. Like the thing, like when we say abolish the police, the thing people say, well, what do we do with rapists and murderers? So those are things people who want the police system to be stay intact are saying, those are the worst people of all. How is it they're getting lighter sentences than marijuana? How is that? Who typically is affected by this? And that will answer the question. Let's continue a little more of this video.
It's two. When President Biden was running for office, he made a promise.
I think we should decriminalize marijuana, period. And I think anyone who has a record should be let out of jail, their records expunged, it be completely zeroed out.
And so we're going to hold him to it.
So did everybody hear that? Because we're going to get to a video where they say he kept his promise. Nobody's being let out of jail with this. So let's repeat. Joe Biden pardoned 6,500 people not in custody. And excludes immigrants from these pardons. let's continue.
To his promise, especially right now when we have this two-tiered system of justice where if you're wealthy and if you're an older white male, you can profit from the cannabis industry, while many people of color and people from poor neighborhoods are still sitting in prison for doing the same thing.
My name is Kyle Kazan, and I'm the co-founder, CEO, and chairman of Glasshouse Brands. Glasshouse Brands is a very large cannabis company that's publicly traded on the OTC and on the New York Exchange in Canada. Are we a legal business? Yes, we're a legal business in the state of California, where we operate. We are illegal federally, like every single business that operates in the United States, because the United States still has cannabis, oddly enough, as a Schedule I drug.
Watching people cash in on the legal marijuana market while we're incarcerated is one of the most egregious injustices.
Luke was running a medicinal marijuana dispensary in Modesto, California in 2004. He and a partner.
We followed California law to the letter. We were licensed by the city. We had a permit from the state. We paid 100% of our taxes, both state and federal taxes.
George Bush was the president, and they were prosecuting marijuana businesses. They didn't recognize California's medical marijuana laws, just like federal law does not recognize the state laws in existence today. But what's happened since Luke was prosecuted are a number of things. The Obama administration instructed prosecutors not to prosecute individuals who are following state law. In 2014, Congress has introduced a rider that precludes the DOJ from using funds to prosecute businesses or individuals that are operating within the state's medical marijuana laws. And Luke falls within that guidelines. And so today, not only would Luke not be prosecuted, he couldn't be prosecuted. And he's still sitting in prison.
He ran one dispensary. I'm sitting in one right here in Los Angeles. My company has numerous. We're opening up more.
Parker Coleman, he has a very egregious case. He is currently serving a 60-year sentence.
He has 50 years to go. Nonviolent cannabis crime.
I can go and buy shares in weed stocks now. How am I still in here? Like, that can't be that hypocritical. Like, that's...
So understand, the people he promised are these people, and this pardon does not affect them in any way.
Too blatant.
What we do in an hour is far more than he did that's gotten him 60 years, that's putting him in hell. So if you're not going to let Parker out, arrest me. Have some consistency.
I know that you care about justice and equity, Mr.
I think I'm going to pause it there because they kind of go into a different part of the story. So, but you get the point of what the video is saying. And while we're at Twitter, let's stay on Twitter. So let me bring up some other items I have on Twitter here to show you. Let's go to this tweet. So this is from Means TV. This is the first. So Means TV. Is that big enough? Yeah. Let's put myself down here. That'll make it a lot bigger. So it says not a single person will actually be freed from jail as a result of Biden's new weed reform agenda. A thread. Let's click on this, make this bigger. Since 1992, 6,500 people have been hit with federal charges for simple possession. That gives you an idea of how rare that it's federal charges. You're talking about 92, 8 years, that's 30 years. Right? Yeah, 30 years. And while it's good, they were pardoned, which is good, which will make it easier for them to find work and housing. None of them are currently in jail. So again, 0 people will be released as a result of this. continuing to the next part of the thread. Most people are arrested for weed possession by state and local authorities. Biden simply asking state governments to pardon those with that offense won't cut it in red states who will just ignore him. A policy that ties federal criminal justice grants to compliance would have more teeth. And then let's go to this next part here. This is a great thread. And then there's the language around marijuana scheduling. The White House said it will. This is the part, like they're jumping on this scheduling part. Oh, he's going to, no, he's not. That's not what he said. And they picked up on it. Means TV picked up on it. The White House said it will initiate the process of reviewing how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. That's DC speak for, yeah, we will get around to it at some point. And then that's the end of the thread with some comments. But I thought that was a very good thread to cover before we get to these videos. I'm saving the Reformist videos till the end. Where am I? But there is one other. Shoot, I wish I was able. Oh, I am able. Okay, so let me show you the graphic. So I was looking for the graphic. So I am able to show you the graphic here. Is this it? Oh, this is not it. I'm sorry. Hold on a second here. Let me get it, and then I'll post it in this screen. All right, so let's go to a status quo graphic. Now, we just saw Cassandra from the Drug Policy Alliance talk about how no one is going to be released from prison. This is everybody who's on parole, or everybody who's already not in custody. And then we just read what Means TV posted about this not affecting anybody who's currently in jail. We also went to the More Perfect Union video where it talks about 2,700 non-violent cannabis people are still in jail and won't be affected by this. But so that means no one in jail will be affected by this, right? But status quo has a person in jail saying pardoned. This is just factually incorrect. Joe Biden pardoned 6,500 people not in custody. Now, why? Now, I'm giving Jordan the benefit of the doubt that he jumped the gun, and because anybody would assume a pardon means you're being released out of jail, not a pardon applying to people who are not in prison. So I get that. But let's see if he updates this. This is currently still the thumbnail when you go on status quo. But this is just incorrect. Briefly, like the video, we have 200 and what number is that? 285 people currently here watching it and commenting, and we have 250 likes. Can we push 25 more? 25 more likes to 275. 25 more likes to 275. All right, back here. Joe Biden pardoned 6,500 not in custody, and status quo's graphic is a person in jail, and it says pardoned. So why are reformists so quick to jump on this? Now, I haven't seen Jordan's video, so I can't comment on him, and that's why he wasn't on the graphic, because I haven't seen the video. But the graphic, it doesn't tell me what's in the video. Maybe he breaks it down and it says these, maybe he breaks it down. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But the graphic is incorrect. So let's now go to, let me see if I want to bring this up yet. Yeah, I think I do. Oh, I take this one down. All right, so let's now go to what other item I can bring up here. More perfect union. Oh, some tweets I wanted to bring up just so we can see. Okay, so let's bring up Margaret Kimberly's tweet first. I'll put that up now. I'm trying to get all of the Twitter stuff done without going away from Twitter. Then we'll go back to YouTube for some more analysis here. But here is Margaret Kimberly's tweet. So this, it looks like it's just a discovering of that these people are not going to be, are not in prison. So this is Margaret Kimberly, and I'm sorry, let me make this bigger so people can see this better. I'll do this. I'll take that off, and I'll make this a little bit bigger here. All right, so there we go. Is Biden actually releasing anyone in jail from marijuana possession? Pardons will help people get convictions off their record. That's good. But it appears that no one is actually leaving jail due to this decision. And she's quote tweeting this Keita Haynes. I think that's how you say it. And those 6,000 are not even in prison. Most people in federal custody for marijuana convictions have some type of conspiracy, distribution, or manufacturing charge. She's talking about the people that's not being released. So that's Margaret Kimberly. And we also had another one here somewhere. Advocate someone. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I was getting caught up with something else. So let's go to another tweet here. This one has some receipts on it that we're going to be pulling up. So let's pull up this next tweet. Let me shout the person out just to give him credit for the use of the tweet. It says "read all over news." Biden. Okay, let me make sure it's centered in the screen for everybody to see. Okay, it is. Biden's simple possession pardon won't let anyone out of prison. Here are the receipts. All 6,500 people expected to be pardoned federally are not currently in prison, an official said, and there is no individual currently in federal prison solely for simple possession of marijuana. So again, the graphic from Status Quo is simply not accurate if you're depicting people coming out of prison. This is who Biden just pardoned, and it just goes to oh wow. Oh, it's showing you this small amount right here. Let me see where it's at on the screen. So that yellow part, so this is the bigger pie. Then it zooms in here in the top right. And then it zooms in and who he pardoned. So the amount of people he pardoned is in this little sliver here. You see it says marshals, 64,000. Then it says immigrants, drugs, others, and all that stuff. This little sliver is who he pardoned. Now look at the grand scheme of the pie, though. How are reformists describing this as a major step forward? How? Next graphic. Let's see if there's another one. Actually, I don't know if it's there. There is another one. The review process Biden has outlined through HHS and the DOJ won't necessarily result in the descheduling of cannabis. It could simply move marijuana to a lower category on the Controlled Substance Act. Something like that, advocates have pointed out, could complicate medical and recreational marijuana programs in already legal states. More than 99% of federal drug offenders are sentenced for trafficking, according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. In a briefing on Thursday, a White House official told reporters there are no individuals currently in federal prison simply for simple possession of marijuana. I mean, it can't get any clearer than that. Or I should say, it doesn't get any clearer than that. And we're going to go to Gritty. Gritty is the way. We're going to go to their tweet as our last item on Twitter. And then we're going to go to the Reformist video. So you can see snippets of what they're describing. Now, you see the foundation of what actually is happening and who is actually affecting. Not a single person in prison. Not a single one. That sliver of the pie. You see if that matches how they describe it. Now, let's read this tweet from Gritty is the way. Delivered a tiny fraction of student loan forgiveness and no pardons for anyone currently in prison for cannabis, and is only investigating the possibility of rescheduling, not descheduling. If you vote for Biden, you're telling every politician crumbs are more than enough. Oh, that is such beautiful poetry by Gritty is the way. So accurately spot on in the assessment of this. So then let's delve deep into the guilty conscience cheerleading part of this. Where is my notes here? Okay, right here. Let's go to Rational National, because we don't have to play his video long to see the giddiness. Let me bring this down before I put this in here. And then now let's add the video on the same screen. Now, as that's pulling up, I forgot to mention our Substack, which is scrolling at the bottom there, but let's bring it up to, oops, not that one. Let's leave that one. Where's the other one? Sorry, everybody. This is the one I meant to take down. Let's stop it from scrolling and put it up. If you want to get notifications of unannounced or unscheduled streams like this one today, like the one yesterday, join our Substack, and you'll get notifications by email. That in the email, you'll see the clip or the video is right there. You can just watch it in your email. I'm letting that play. I see that ad playing. I'm just letting that play with no sound. But join our Substack if you want to get such notifications. Also, like the stream, now we have the Rational Nationals video we're going to be showing. And let me put this back to where it was. That'll also be screaming at the bottom. So if you didn't get the Substack, it's streaming or scrolling there at the bottom. So let's examine the guilty conscience of this cheerleading. And now let me start to read some of my notes here. So first let me say, to me, this is a midterm gimmick, a midterm election gimmick, similar to student loan forgiveness that's kind of set up to kind of fail and if you haven't noticed that, there's a lot of people who have content on that. I think it's on the Hill. Maybe Bree covered it, where she's talking about, is this really sort of designed to fail later after the midterms? Then the Inflation Reduction Act, which is not a climate bill, being called that, so that it can appear he's doing this is all to get people to where they're not massacred, the Democrats, in the midterms. And then remember the railroad workers, that tentative deal that wasn't actually never the tentative deal, but they did that to avert a strike. Midterm election gimmick. Federal pardons for marijuana. Why do you think it was? Oh yeah, this is another one. Think about, and when you say why do you think this is a gimmick? Here's another reason. Why was this announced, rolled out online? Why didn't he go in the garden, just like he announces a lot of other legislation, a press conference? He announces it online because he's targeting people who smoke, who want to look and say, oh, he's doing this for people who smoke. This is a midterm election year gimmick. Another one. Remember, this is not a midterm election year gimmick, but another thing that shows just how they're waiting. They sort of like reformers have like praise waiting in wait for Biden. Like they just want him to do something, anything that can absolve them of this sort of guilt they have for voting this fucking terrible guy into office, even after seeing all this terribleness that has gone on. And the point I want to bring is, remember pulling out of Afghanistan, they jumped on that. Oh, Biden's doing this. And then he ended up starving them. Sanctions. Warfare. So it's like, okay, I said that point. Why are they so eager though? And this is what I have written down. It's a guilty conscience. They voted for Biden. So in order to not feel guilty for all the hundreds of terrible things he's doing, they have to jump on these crumbs and exaggerate them in order to make their vote make sense. This is to make their vote make sense. They have to, Biden is doing these. Otherwise, it's like, this is harm reduction to you? Rational National? So let's listen to this video, David Dole.
Oh my goodness. I sat down to shoot a completely different video, looked online to see if there were any updates to that story. I'm still going to shoot that video later, only to find out that Joe Biden is making a massive move on cannabis. So let me get to this news. This is just breaking. He put this on.
A massive move on cannabis. And how did Cassandra describe it? This is a step in the right gesture. A person plugged into the situation described what he does as a step towards the right gesture. Not even a step in the right direction. The step in the right gesture. He says this is a massive move. Massive. Think back to what I said about guilty conscious cheerleading. They put this terrible guy in office and inflation and about to go to nuclear war and all these terrible things he's doing. And they hear the far left, as they call us, the radical left, calling them out on this garbage. It's a lot of guilt behind this vote to put Biden in office. So they have to make this bigger than what it is. Let's continue with David.
This online through Twitter, starting with this saying, I've said before, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. Today, I'm taking steps to end our failed approach. Allow terms. Normally, the way these politicians think, they think move this burden. Already, this alone, and underage sales of marijuana, of simple
Am I back? I think I'm back. Okay, I think I'm back. So if you could see me, just type something or say something. So internet just went out. You believe that? And it's not back on, as you can see on the screen. It's not back on. So what I'm using is my cell phone hotspot. But it's very curious that my wife stays on our bill. So the first thing I was like, my wife didn't pay the bill, but that's not her. She doesn't do that. All our stuff is paid on time. So that's the first thing I did. She's like, no, the bill's paid. So just, it goes out. It just went out. So that's what it is. So we're gonna see if we can continue. So let me tell you how it's working, because somebody said sorry, you're using a hotspot. So let me tell you what's working. So I have my laptop plugged in to directly plugged into the router. So because of past experiences, I don't do the wireless when I stream. I've been doing this for a while, like back before RBN, when it was just Populous Voice. I did not use wireless. I always wanted to use a wire, right? So that wire is still plugged in. So if by chance my home internet comes on, it's plugged in to work. So to answer your question, am I only using a hotspot? I think that's the only thing I'm using. I guess you would be more able to determine by the quality that you see if it's, because I don't know if it's indicating which one is it's using. But anyway, wow, I was right in the middle of getting to the guilty conscious cheerleading. So we're gonna write this out to see how long we can go here. So let me see here. Hey, we can talk about that offline, but yeah, me and Rome talk about this all the time. We tried to get you thrown off while you were gone. Cutting in and out. So for him, I guess earlier it was cutting in and out. All right, so let me see how long. It must have been 15 minutes. Maybe not quite as 15 minutes. Maybe 7 or 8 minutes. But that was weird. Let me see here. Bishop lost his mind. I'm trying to pinpoint when I went out. Sorry, so just give me 1 second here. Where are you? Okay, so yeah, it looks like about 8 minutes, but that's long in streaming terms. 10 minutes. Okay, so that's long in streaming terms to be silent. But the thing about StreamYard, I don't know if it's good or bad. I guess it's good in a sense since I was able to come on in 10 minutes, get back to it in 10 minutes, but it's bad in a sense how it just kept going. It didn't turn off. So it's bad in that sense. So there's good and bad. But we're going to get back to it. We got down to only 100 people that waited it through, but it looks like people are coming back. We're about to hit 200 people viewing again. Sorry about that, but the internet literally went out. Now, another thing I do, I have the wire and I have the Wi-Fi turned on because I've had it happen before where it wasn't anything in the internet, but some plug came unloose and I dropped out. So now I have both, just as a redundancy, the wire and the Wi-Fi. So I checked those were fine, and that's when I found out everything in the house that used Wi-Fi was off and wasn't picking up. And my TV is still not connected, so maybe it's not working. But let me kind of get back into the groove of it. But we're gonna get back to the guilty conscious cheerleading. And I'm gonna start here. 332 likes. If you're brand new to watching and you don't know what happened, internet went out for like 10 minutes, close to 10 minutes, maybe like 8 minutes, but 8 to 10 minutes. But the stream stayed on, so I was able to come back. I'm streaming on my hotspot on my phone. Maybe. I don't know if this is coming in and out. But we're approaching 200 people watching again. So if you can throw me a like if you're just arriving, throw me a like. And let's get back into it. And I'm going to start with what I was saying so we can get back into the groove of this. So in my notes, I put so eager to give Joe Biden credit. And I'm asking why. So let's start over from that part. It's like reformists have kudos lying in wait to spring out whenever Joe Biden delivers crumbs. And I'm asking, why are they so eager? And this is what I have written down. It's a guilty conscience. They voted for Biden, so in order to not feel guilty for all the hundreds of terrible things he's doing, i.e., drill permits, $15 minimum wage. What was the other thing? $15 minimum. It was something else. Anyway, one of you will bring it up. Starving people in Afghanistan. More money to Israel. More money to billions of dollars to the Ukraine. This proxy war. Like just on and on and on. So it's like anytime any small thing, they have to project it larger than what it is in order to explain their vote. And that's what I said in his note here. He's doing so in order to not feel guilty for all the hundreds of terrible things he's doing, they have to jump on these crumbs and exaggerate them in order to make their vote make sense. Otherwise, it's how is this a harm reduction vote? In what way is this a harm reduction vote? Because we're looking at wars, we're looking at the climate, we're looking at, I didn't even mention evictions. I didn't mention the inflation. I didn't mention the pandemic death, more pandemic death with the vaccination. That's the other one. Student debt. That's the one I was trying to remember. This $10,000 is not the promise. And like I said earlier, about 800,000 people just got noticed that you thought you qualified, but oh no, your loan is held by private entity, so you no longer qualify. All right, looks like we're getting back to our regular numbers. We're at 217. I think we're at 3 something. So maybe another 100 people will drop in before the segment's over, but let's continue with David, and let's listen. I'm going to start the video over because remember, you saw what Cassandra said. Cassandra, who is on the ground every day with this work, the Drug Policy Alliance, the way she describes this so-called pardon that he's giving people, because people associate pardon with coming out of jail. But nobody here is coming out of jail. Everybody who's going to be affected is more of, trying to help them get a job, help them get housing. So why are they so anxious? And I gave you that reason. But here's another reason. It also gives cover to this inside-outside game strategy that they want to hang on for dear life. It goes, look, we got this, so now let's try to stay with this inside-outside strategy even some more. Even more, right? I think I'm still streaming, right? Yes, I am. Oh, there we go. So that's exactly where I was at. So I'm gonna go to your super chats right now because that reminds me where I was at. That one that just came in. I was in the middle of saving the super chats that had came through before my internet went out, and that's when, so it didn't let me to save it, so I have to go back now and find those. But I think I'm close. Okay, yeah, here goes one, and let me cover. Should be another one. Oh no, it's not letting me go further up. So yeah, it's not letting me go farther up. So these are the ones I'm able to see. So this one here, which was the newer one that just came in. Yo, CJ, my brother closed your windows and closed your windows and locked your doors. Don't believe the hype, because Jim Crow Joe with a stroke of a pen could legalize marijuana. I hear you. And that is Christian999. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry, I was reading something else. And this is the one I saw this along with another one, but it won't let me go up further. Maybe it's too far in the history, and because how I was disconnected and everything. But here's the other one I was able to see. Yo, CJ. Oh, it's the same thing. I'm sorry. That's the one I just read. This one, I'm sorry. NRJ, $20. Thank you for the super chat. Here's the super chat. That's the classic bait and switch move from the senator from NBNA. Yes, and he's talking about the bait and switch move where he's basically trying to project that what this is not what it is. This pardon and some of his other things that they're doing as their midterm strategy. And that's all this is a midterm. This is part of the midterm strategy. Let me read another part of my note here. I said that it also gives cover to this inside game strategy because you're going to go, see, we got him to do this. Let's continue down this path because we got these crumbs. So let's see what else we can get. Right? There's part of the propaganda machine. Okay, so this speaking to the professional managerial class and those who are this eager class, because this is the professional managerial class. They're part of the propaganda machine or aspiring to be part of the propaganda machine, so they frame crumbs the way that mainstream media and the ruling class frames it. So this other note that I have down is that they're part of this machine to propagandize people to keep coming back to the Democratic Party. So whether it's knowingly or unknowingly. So knowingly is that I'm trying to aspire to be in this petty bourgeoisie class. So I'm just parroting what everybody else in this class is saying. Or two, they believe it, and that's why they're saying it. Let's play some of what he says here.
Oh my goodness. I sat down to shoot a completely different video, looked online to see if there were any updates to that story. I'm still going to shoot that video later, only to find out that Joe Biden is making a massive move on cannabis. So,
Massive move on cannabis. David, the Canadian, no connection to anybody who will be affected by the legislation he thinks, or the part he thinks is about to happen. But the person who's on the ground, Cassandra from the Drug Policy Alliance, describes this same thing that says that he's described as a massive step. She says it's a gesture. It is a first step towards a gesture. First step towards a gesture, a massive move. There's a gaping hole here of understanding. So let's continue with David.
oh, let me get to this news. This is just breaking. He put this online through Twitter, starting with this saying, I've said before, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. Today, I'm taking steps to end our failed approach. Allow me to lay them out. And there are, I believe, 3 different steps here. So he first says, I'm pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. There are thousands of people who were previously convicted of simple possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result. My pardon will remove this burden. Already, this alone is incredible. A fantastic move, not only politically, because
Already, this alone is a fantastic move. Sorry, I'm restarting my TV to see if the internet is on. That'll give me an indication if the internet's back on. I just can't believe the huge gap in description and how he's describing it and how Cassandra described it.
burden. Already, this alone is incredible.
This alone is incredible. Now, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he thinks this is going to let people out of jail. A lot of people misunderstood this. So maybe he'll do some other subsequent video to sort of clear it up. Let's see. Did it restart? Okay, it's restarting now. All right, so I want to see if that internet is back on. All right, so if I cut out, you know the reason why, because the internet, I don't know how my Wi-Fi can hold all of this, but it is. Now, let me read this other note I have down here. Let me make sure I'm still streaming here. This comment here. David Dolt loves them crumbs he ain't got to eat. What a surprise. He's in to your point, he's in Canada. So these crumbs that he all wants us to digest, he's not doing that. He has health care. They describe this in glowing terms as if they have no personal connection to cannabis or drug related convictions. They describe as if their only understanding is through reading an article. That's another point that I put down here. Like in the way they're describing it, like Cassandra, who's on the ground, she's connected to it. She understands, what he's doing is this. But in the way, am I frozen here? But in the way that he describes it, it's like he has no connection. It's like he has no connection to it. So I may freeze here and there. So just understand I'm on my Wi-Fi. But let's play this. Let's play a little more.
a fantastic move, not only politically, because of course this is incredibly popular, but also obviously for those that will be impacted by this. I mean, think of how crazy it is, how long we have gone knowing that marijuana is not a big deal, yet it has continued to impact the lives of people that have been caught having some on them, be it through, as Biden mentions, employment, housing, educational opportunities. It is completely insane. So to finally see a president step up, use their power, and do something about it is honestly surprising. It's surprising because you're not.
To see a president step up and honestly do something about those people being affected by their criminal past conviction for housing and employment. Nothing else. Let's continue, and then we're going to bring up the next
seeing
one.
Some actual progress like this, but here Biden is actually doing it. Did not expect him to make a move on this, especially before the midterms. Normally, the way these politicians think, they think doing anything big, may hurt them. Especially Democrats think that. But here you have Biden making this move before the midterms. Hopefully, or I assume there are people in his ear that are showing him, the polling, the reality of how popular this is, and that I believe would move him or has moved him on this position to do this now. So really good to see. But there's more. So he goes on here saying, second, I'm calling on governors to pardon simple state marijuana possession offenses, just as no one should be in a federal.
Words. There's more. He's telling governors, hey, go do this. So that counts for him. Let's see what else counts for David.
Federal prison solely for possessing marijuana. No one should be in a local jail or state prison for that reason either. So basically an extension of his first point here. Really good to see this. But there's more. So he also says, third, we classify marijuana at the same level as heroin and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. I'm asking Secretary Becerra and the Attorney General to initiate the process of reviewing how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
And like the smirk on his face, as if that it's reviewing, okay? Sorry, wife and daughter just got home from a doctor's appointment. So just letting her know, because she works from home, the internet's out. So today she's working from home, not always. So as you can see, I restarted my computer or my TV and it's still out. So the internet is still out. Exactly. Asking someone else to initiate the process of reviewing. So understand, he's asking them to start the process of examining the effects. That's it. This in no way means decriminalizing it or descheduling it. All he could do is just lower the schedule, which would complicate all the current legal laws that allow recreational use of cannabis. But you're jumping on it, David, as if this is great. This is there's more. This is all one thing, David.
So I have discussed this at length, how marijuana is still a Schedule I drug, just completely insane. Finally, Biden is doing something about this through executive order, through his executive powers. He can do this alone. He does not need Congress. He needs Congress to legalize it, but he doesn't need Congress to remove it from a Schedule I drug. So, of course, this is just the announcement of them looking into this, but assuming this continues, it appears he's going to take it out of a Schedule I drug.
Where did it say that? Where did it say that, David? It appears he's going to take it out of the schedule. It says nothing to that effect at all.
Congress to remove it from a Schedule 1 drug. So, of course, this is just the announcement of them looking into this, but assuming this continues, it appears he's going to take it out of a Schedule 1 drug.
Why do you think David understands that's not what happened, but he's saying that? Why do you think that? Who benefits from that but his conscience? The guilty conscience. Who benefits from that? Telling people, oh, go with Biden. See, look what he did. See? So what I told you, it's okay. It's okay that I told you to vote for this terrible person, because look, that's what this is about. So let's go. Oops, where is? Oh, it's right here. Let's go to now. Let's see if my hotspot is going to still work here. Holding up pretty good. I have it sitting at the windowsill, so there's nothing holding it back. But let's see if this comes up. Yeah, this is the Humanist Report, and he has Dark Brandon. I must tell you, as the graphic or the what is it called? The thumbnail for his is that Dark Brandon. But let's listen. It says, breaking: Biden moves to reclassify marijuana, pardons all federal marijuana offenses, which is just a lie. Actually, let me say, maybe he made this video before getting the details, but that is not true. Michael or Mike, it's not true. And you see the title here. This is the title I'm talking about. Oh, and he actually put it in the thing. Dark Brandon is back with another banger. Let's zoom this up here so y'all can see this nonsense, this bullshit. So let's zoom in right here. This is the Humanist Report. Dark Brandon is back with another banger. President Biden announced he's pardoning all federal offenses related to marijuana possession. He did not say none of that. And instructing the Justice Department to move to reclassifying marijuana. This is a complete lie. That is a complete lie he has in the description. And like I said, I'm going to just say, let's give Humanist Report the benefit of the doubt. But both of those sentences, these are lies. President Biden announced he's pardoning all federal offenses related to marijuana possession. No, he didn't. And instructing Justice Department to move. No, he's not. Instructing him to move to reclassify marijuana. No, he's not. It's not the end all be all, but it's a positive step in the right. Now, that last positive step, I'll give you that. I won't say that's overly describing it. But the rest of that, my God, let's watch.
Well, folks, it seems as if we have a little bit of breaking news. President Joe Biden just made a huge announcement, and it's a positive one because we are taking drastic steps towards the legalization of cannabis. Now, we're not there yet, but what he did is undeniably good. Via the White House Twitter account, he writes, "As I've said before, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. Today, I'm taking steps to end our failed approach. Allow me to lay them out. First, I'm pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. There are thousands of people who were previously convicted of simple possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result. My pardon will remove this burden. Second, I'm calling on governors to pardon simple state marijuana possession offenses. Just as no one should be in a federal prison solely for possessing marijuana, no one should be in a local jail or state prison for that reason either. Third, we classify marijuana at the same level as heroin and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. I'm asking Secretary Becerra and the Attorney General to initiate the process of reviewing how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. I'd also like to note that as federal and state regulations change, we need important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales of marijuana. Sending people to jail for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives for conduct that is legal in many states. That's before you address the clear racial disparities around prosecution and conviction. Today, we begin to right these wrongs. And I think that that's a great way to end this. We begin to right these wrongs. This is not the end all be all, but this is a really great step towards righting the wrongs of the United States' war on drugs, and also Joe Biden righting the wrongs because as a senator, he did contribute to this with his crime bill. Now, there are other things that I wish he would have done. First of all, I wish that he would have called for marijuana to be removed entirely from the Controlled Substances Act. Second of all, I wish that he would have endorsed legislation in the Senate that would have done just that and would have brought him farther to these goals. So it's called the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act. Still, this is a really important step in the right direction. Now let's go to experts here like Cassandra Frederick of the Drug Policy Alliance, because I think
really, because this is the person that was just in the other item, in the other video. So let's hear the quote. He I'm not gonna even describe it. Let me give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's let him play.
I think that her opinion here is really valuable. She said the advocacy group is thrilled to see President Biden holding true to his commitment to pardon every person with simple marijuana charges at the federal level, convictions that leave people saddled with a criminal record, preventing them from obtaining employment, housing, and countless other opportunities. We, however, hope that the Biden administration will go further and fully deschedule marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act rather than initiate a process that could lead to rescheduling, she continued. Keeping marijuana on the federal drug schedule will mean people will continue to face criminal charges for marijuana, Frederick argued. It also means that research will continue to be inhibited and state-level markets will be at odds with federal law. And that right there is really important because we're in this weird legal gray area where we could get a president with an attorney general that chooses to go after states with legal weed, and that would be really terrifying. Thankfully, we dodged a bullet back in 2017 when Trump became president and Jeff Sessions was attorney general. He had a very harsh stance towards marijuana. So a lot of states that had legalized pot at that point were worried. We were bracing for impact, thinking that this would be the end, but thankfully it wasn't the end. But to ensure that we are never in a situation where states are violating federal law, it needs to be legalized at the federal level. Now, we're not there yet. Biden is not calling for that yet, to be clear.
I think I'm gonna pause there. That's more than half of the video, because I wanna get to some of the other videos before, I don't know, something may happen to this feed. I'm getting weary about this feed the longer I'm on. Let's go to the Kyle and Crystal video. One, let me just say these videos they do where they're basically showing they're a couple, like it's really cringe. Like it's like do a video where you're like, to me it's cringe.
All right, guys, I have some big breaking news for you. President Biden just tweeted the following.
Some big breaking news. Big breaking news here. Sometimes I got to take a break from listening to the nonsense, but you're seeing a guilty conscience cheerlead for Biden, overblow the crumbs so that it explains why you pandered, you voted for, you did something towards it, you recommended, whatever the case may be different for different people. So let's listen to Kyle.
As I've said before, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. Today, I'm taking steps to end our failed approach. Allow me to lay them out. First, I'm pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. There are thousands of people who were previously convicted of simple possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result. My pardon will remove this burden. Second, I'm calling on governors to pardon simple state marijuana possession offenses. Just as no one should be in a federal prison solely for possessing marijuana, no one should be in a local jail or state prison for that reason either. Third, we classify marijuana at the same level as heroin and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. I'm asking Secretary Becerra and the Attorney General to initiate the process of reviewing how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. I'd also like to note that as federal and state regulations change, we still need important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales of marijuana. Sending people to jail for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives for conduct that is legal in many states. That's before you address the clear racial disparities around prosecution and conviction. Today we begin to right these wrongs. So, holy fucking shit, man. I mean, that seems kind of strong if you ask me. It's a big move. Now, I will warn just a little bit, not to rain on everybody.
It's a big move. This is a big move in a professional managerial class. The class that is continuing to beat this dead horse and have reason to stay in it is this. This is the little, the little life. The pulse. The dead body, they're hearing the pulse. They're like, oh, can you hear the pulse? Let's keep at this. That's what this is, in my opinion. It's a great swindle. The crystal think the earring looked good. Oh my God. This is what I'm going to be having to deal with. The saga of the K's. Let's go.
Everybody's parade, because I do think overall this is very good news. But the only thing I'll warn about here is the wording is just a little weaselly, which might give him some wiggle room to get out of really doing exactly what we want him to do. I'll read it one more time. Biden is pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. So when I read prior federal offenses, that strikes me as he's not saying current federal offenses. So if it's not current federal offenses, that means that the people who are in prison right now because of marijuana possession, I don't think they're going to be freed. I think they have to serve the rest of their time. And then when they're done serving their time.
So at least Kyle, just from the wording, was able to pick up that, wait a minute, I don't think anybody is getting released from prison. But clearly, this line that he says, clearly in the minds of the professional managerial class who have been jumped on this, clearly that's what they thought. Most people would think pardoned. Like, who cares if I'm pardoned if I'm already out of prison is in most people's mind. They're not adding the fact that housing and employment. They're just saying, I'm out of prison. Which is also an indication of how less they know about the effects of these things outside of prison, employment and work. I'm sorry, employment and housing. But let's listen. At least he picked up on it.
They can have their record wiped clean, but that's after they serve their time. Now, again, this is just my interpretation of the wording. I'm actually totally unsure if I'm correct in that. But I mean, I guess I'll leave it up to you guys to parse it out as well. Either way, though, I think this is a huge step in the right direction because I wasn't expecting anything from Joe on this front. He's an old school 1990s drug warrior. He's a tough on crime Democrat. And so this is a big deal. And even if I'm interpreting it properly and he's not going to free the nonviolent offenders who are still in prison, it still goes further than Obama. Obama pardoned, I think it was 330 people who were guilty of various nonviolent drug offenses. So, which, by the way, it's one of the good things Obama did on the way out. He kept pardoning nonviolent drug offenders, but he didn't go, he should have gone a lot further. And of course, we all know what's the real answer. The real answer is legalize, tax, and regulate. Biden could do it with the swipe of a pen. Free every federal nonviolent drug offender, not just weed. So we'll see. I don't know how far-reaching this is, but either way, it sounds kind of good. Crystal, you have any thoughts?
I'm happy.
Oh, he has 2 earrings there.
You're happy? Do you agree with me about the reading or no?
I wasn't listening to you.
Oh, that I don't know if the so the wording is
This
Biden.
is great. Just home with Kyle and Crystal. We're at home with Kyle and Crystal, guys. This is awesome. The American left, the United States left, white left media, the professional managerial class, reformist boutique left, all of these overlapping groups are so unserious, so fucking unserious about really doing anything. So fucking unserious. Oh God. So let's listen some more if I can listen through this here.
Biden is pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession.
Yeah, but then he goes on to say, like, no one should be in federal prison for simple possession. So that led me to believe that they're going to make sure no one's in federal.
That they're going to free all.
That would lead you to believe. The problem is that's not what's going to happen. The problem is, Crystal, that's not going to happen. Oh, here's somebody just found out. Sorry to break the news to you. Yes. Yes, they are. They're their new K&K. So Kim and Kanye got divorced. I say, okay, we're taking over the K&K moniker, right? Yes. Unprofessional managerial class. Fraternizing amongst each other. Let's continue.
Free all the nonviolent drug offenders who were just in there for weed, you think?
It seems like it. I mean, he's calling on state and local officials to do the same, right?
He is, because he can't free the state level prisoners or the local prisoners because he only has, he can only control the federal prison. So he's calling on the states to do it. That's pretty big too. So
that's pretty big. The thresholds that the managerial class has to say something's good or bad leaves out the people at the bottom all the time. All the time. Oh, that's great legislation. Oh, it doesn't cover this. Yeah, I know. Oh, that's a great pardon, but those people don't get out. Oh, yeah, I know. Just a misrepresentation in my opinion, but let's Eunice, did I cover all? Oh no, I still have TYT. But let me read this about guilty conscience. And I know I could be saying that wrong. Guilty conscience. There we go. We're almost back to where we were pre losing internet. And for those that are back, I lost internet. I'm on my hotspot, believe it or not. But the internet went out midstream, and it was out for maybe 8 or 9 minutes, and I was able to get logged back on. We're sitting at 393 likes. Could we push over 400? Maybe get to 415, 420. 420 is good. Let's do that. Yeah, 420. Let's see if we can push to 420. We're almost back to the number of viewers we were. We're at 312 now, 313. I think it was at 350, 360. So if we give it some more likes, maybe we can get those numbers back to what they were. So like this video. And also scrolling at the bottom, you see our Substack. Join our Substack so that you get notifications of streams just like this one, unannounced, unscheduled, and just like the one yesterday, unannounced, unscheduled. All right, so let's cover an article now. When did I start? 11:30. So I'll be ending pretty soon. So let's cover an article now that I have saved. Okay. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. All right, so let's put it in the screen window for us. And let's take this one down. All right, so this news article talks about, goes into a little detail. So let's read briefly parts of this. So a bunch of pop-ups. So this is from king5.com. I guess that's this news station calls themselves that. Advocates say there's more to be done after simple marijuana possession convictions pardoned. I'm going to read that title again. There was a pop-up, sorry. Let's take this pop-up off. What I'm trying to do is make this bigger for the seeing impaired. Let's do this. Make this article bigger for you to see. And now let me continue to read. Advocates say there's more to be done after simple marijuana possession convictions pardoned. President Biden's announcement is expected to impact 6,500 Americans. It's estimated there's 40,000 incarcerated for marijuana-related convictions. 40,000. Okay? So 50% of that is 20, 25% of that is 10. So you're talking about less than 25%. And these aren't people that are incarcerated, the 6,500. But let's continue. In the spring of 2022, Seattle artist Teddy Stat Phillips launched a campaign with Soltis Cannabis to advocate for the release of people imprisoned by marijuana possession. Phillips' cause moved one step forward Thursday after President Biden announced he would pardon those who've been convicted of simple possession of marijuana under federal law. Definitely wasn't expecting it, said Phillips. I figured something would be coming around the midterm elections. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't think it was this. Phillips' campaign with Soltis Cannabis is called Free the Homie. That's the campaign to free people convicted of marijuana. In May, Soltis Cannabis put Phillips' artistic images of people in prison for cannabis possession on its products. And I believe that's what this video is here. So let's play it and see if this is what they're talking about. Wait, what? Oh, that's an ad. Sorry.
Men with wings flying out of a cage into freedom, basically.
This is art with a message.
When one of our friends got locked up, we said, free the homie.
Seattle artist Teddy Stat Phillip is an advocate for the release of people in prison for marijuana possession. His cause moving one step forward. President Biden announced he's pardoning those who've been convicted of simple possession of marijuana under federal law.
Definitely wasn't expecting it. I figured something would be coming during the midterm elections. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't think it was this.
This is a movement, and this takes time.
Yoko Miyashita is the CEO of Leafly, a Seattle-based company that works to be a resource on cannabis information.
I know Leafly. I use them all the time when I'm buying stuff.
She says today's announcement is huge.
It has impacts on housing. When you're applying to rent a property, for example, they check if you have a criminal record. It has impacts on your family status. If you're trying to seek a custody of a child,
However, in the cannabis world, this is an initial step. Many drug charges are on the state level. When Teddy started the Free the Homies campaign, it placed images of people in prison for cannabis possession on Solstice cannabis products.
I was really taken aback by the story of Alan Russell, who's serving life for marijuana possession within Mississippi.
The president's announcement has zero impact on Russell's sentence.
The real work is going to start happening at the state level and the local levels. So like governors have to get involved and really try to push this through and make a difference within their communities.
Washington state has taken some steps. In 2019, a law passed requiring a court to vacate some cannabis convictions upon request. Miyashita says the process can be long and expensive.
You actually have to go to the court in each local jurisdiction where you may have a charge against you and manually apply to get these records expunged.
This is the tip of the iceberg, but it's headed in the right direction. And that's all we can ask for at this point from our president.
Callie Greenberg, King 5 News.
No, there's more we can ask from this president. That's not all we can ask for from this president. And that's the thinking we have to get out of. But I did want to show that because that's pretty cool how they how he had those images of people who are locked up in prison as part of the imaging for the cannabis products at said dispensary.
Is America facing a food
Let's pause that there.
crisis? Experts from around the globe are concerned, and they're raising the alarm. From fertilizer shortages to the suspicious number of food processing plant fires to a double...
How come it doesn't pause here? Hang on a second here. Oh, because this is my bad, everybody. I'm going to pause that there because there's another part I want to cover here. And we're winding down to the end of this section, but there is another article I wanted to take a look at here. There it goes. Oops. This is it. All right, so let's put it in the screen here. This final article, and then I'll end with the TYT video of it. But this article from the Daily Voice, Biden pardons 6,500 convicted of simple pot possession, calls for review of federal law. Okay, so let's briefly read this section. Tia. Trying to get all these pop-ups gone before I read. Okay, I think I got them all. Biden pardons 6,500 convicted of simple pot possession, calls for review of federal law. And here's the article. President Biden granted mass pardons to an estimated 6,500 people convicted federally of simple marijuana possession and urged all of the nation's governors to do so. Now, just off of the meaning massive and huge, just off of that, would you say something that affects 6,500 people in a population of 325 plus million? Would you call that massive? Just a projection. Like just exaggerated, either exaggerated or they didn't research before they came out with the item. But let me read anyway. Here's a quote. There's 1,000. Oh, no, I don't need to read that again. Okay, so Biden 79 also emphasized that important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales should stay in place. Those who favor the move rejoiced, while others pointed to the timing. A few weeks before voters will decide which party will control the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives, in addition to a host of elected state-level offices. It's already legal in many states, the president said during his 1.5-minute video address. Biden also cited racial disparities. Even though people of various races use pot at the same rate, he explained Black and brown people are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionately higher rates because of his own 1994 crime bill that he missed to include. The president said he's also urging U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland and Secretary of Health and Human Services Xavier Becerril to expeditiously review the process of how marijuana is scheduled as a drug under federal law, with no medical use along with a high potence for abuse. So let me scroll down. Where is it? Okay, right here is where I want to pick up here. The District of Columbia and 37 states have legalized medical marijuana, and 19 states have legalized adult use of marijuana. Voters in 5 states, Missouri, Arkansas, North and South Dakota, Maryland, will decide during the November midterm election if they'll legalize it as well. Too many lives have, they keep saying that. I want to go to the next part. The announcement sent the shares of cannabis companies soaring following the announcement. So this article, the reason I wanted to come to this article was to show, where was that part at? How this article is bringing up how many states are already have this legal. Okay. So because of so many states are legal, because of the amount of people it affects, and because it only affects people not in custody, it doesn't make sense the way that we're describing this. It just doesn't. It doesn't meet the mustard. I'm making up my own term. It doesn't meet the mustard. Let me throw up some of your comments on here, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say on this. And what I have to say is this. This is a good thing. 6,500 people not having this sort of thing around their neck when they're going for housing and education and employment, that's good. But this in no way meets the description that some people, this is a massive step. And in some cases, the Humanist report in the description talking about things that are just not true. He didn't say he's directing Merrick Garland to reclassify marijuana. That's not what he said. But it speaks to the part that I said, and I'm ending here, guilty conscious cheerleading. They have to make sense and project to people. You see why I've told you to vote for him? It all makes sense. Yeah, he did all this stuff, and he's doing all this stuff, but you see why it all is worth it? It's a guilty conscience. So I'm going to end it there. And again, my apologies. This was a very, very weird stream because actually, no, I'm not going to end it there. I'm going to show you one more video. It was a very weird stream because of the having to, start over and all that stuff. I also want to just play the Jimmy Dore video because even if I covered it in another video, it is just let me see where it's at here. Jimmy. Okay, here it goes. Because it is just unreal to me that this person is an instructor at a college. It's crazy to me. But here is the video. I think it's opening here. Yeah, here's the video. Let's take this off. This is just crazy to me. Oh, it started in the middle because I was already watching it. I'm glad it started on mute. So I was already watching it. So let me rewind it. So Raytheon exec teaching Harvard class. This will be a very, I guess I could make this a short segment here. So let's do that. And I'm gonna do it this way. Raytheon exact. Okay, so now let's go to Jimmy's video here. This is amazing to me. And let's listen. Oops, actually, I need to demute or unmute it. All right, now let's listen.
You're trying to buy an individual ticket in Richmond or Virginia Beach, and you couldn't, you can now. So go to jimmydorcomedy.com. There's a link for tickets if you're in Virginia Beach or Richmond. Individual tickets now available. You can buy single tickets. Just want to let you know that the U.S. military emits more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than entire countries. Countries like Denmark or Portugal. So they're one of the biggest contributors to climate change, global warming, all that stuff. And so this lady works for Raytheon. She's on the board of Raytheon, and she's a big warmonger. She's been her whole life a warmonger. She's on other stuff too. She's an advisory member of the British, all kind of shit.
Oh.
So she teaches a class at Harvard.
Crazy. How does she teach a class at Harvard?
Climate change.
Sounds like an expert.
She's like that's
not fighting it, changing it with your wars.
It's like George Bush teaching a master class on
leadership, which he did do.
They do that.
God, he has one.
He has a master class on
cackle
leadership. That'd be like Chris Christie teaching a weight loss class. How about that?
Fair enough.
So there you go. So there's this group called Ram Inc., which sounds
that's the people
like
who protested
the name of a bar. Anyway, Ram Inc., they protested because she's a big one. And here we go.
We can see your war crime.
This is Harvard in class. This is a Raytheon executive teaching a climate change class.
And you can't hide. We can
and then these protesters come in.
War crime.
It starts slow, but it picks up.
Sullivan, you can't hide.
We can see your war crimes.
When missiles fly.
By the way, this is what people spend $100,000 a year.
Oh shoot, Rome is here. I didn't even see that shit until just now. I was on the other screen. What's up, Rome? I can get back to this.
What's poppin', man? Shit, I'm just giving y'all an update. Shit, we got through a good chunk of that shit. Still a whole bunch, but we're just riding through the neighborhood of where we at right now. We on Oak and no problem, man. Take care. Stopping cars, talking to people in front of their houses. You know, trying to see what the deal is, the water crisis. Trying to see if people need help and whatnot. But so far it's looking good. It's hot as hell down here. I didn't really expect it to be that hot.
Burning up, huh?
Everything going so far, so good. So far, so good.
So you end up getting a U-Haul, and you was able to get down there. Is that what that is? That's a U-Haul or some kind of U-Haul truck or something?
Oh yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm on the back of the U-Haul. I'm parked in the middle of the road, breaking all types of laws. You know me. You know I got weed rolled up, even though it's illegal down here. I'm, you know what I'm saying, turning on no turns. You know what I'm saying, all that shit. Breaking all the laws I can.
All right. So, and tomorrow, let me see if I can find a graphic so I can put it up. I'm gonna find a graphic tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? You're gonna be downtown Mississippi, or is it today? You're supposed to be down there.
I know I'm supposed to be doing this today. I'm hitting the homeless shelters tomorrow. So we
tomorrow you're doing the homeless shelters. Okay.
Yeah. I ain't gonna have enough time to do both in one day because it's like even just driving around this shit. I'm gonna go over the miles that I know that I told them that I had told them I was gonna go at first, but it should be. Oh, shut up! You ain't gonna do shit. What you gonna do?
How long did you tell him? How far did you tell him you was gonna go? Did you make up something completely?
You said what?
I said, did you make up something completely when you told them how far you were gonna go?
They said I told them 100 miles, but it looked like it's gonna be over 100. Cause we basically just driving around the neighborhood. It ain't really too many spots. Like when the shit first kicked off, they had spots that people was meeting up at. But now since the dial down, the media isn't giving anybody too much coverage and and love for dropping it off. The drop off sites just basically died out and dried up. So I'm just gonna go to the houses that need it. I'm gonna go to the neighborhoods that they said was infected by the water crisis, and I'm gonna go directly to the people. Because you always take a gamble, especially at the water meetups. You take a gamble. You don't know who need it and who don't, because the thing is, a lot of these people, they're still thinking with a capitalist mindset, and they don't care that the people of Jackson don't have water. All they give a fuck about is people giving away bundles, pallets of water for free that they can resell. So I'd rather go directly to the people, that need it. Because you never know when you rolling the dice out here, what your number gonna land on.
So, all right, but like this says tomorrow. Yesterday was the 6th. I'm tripping.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking this weekend, but yesterday was the 6th. So today is the second day, and then tomorrow you're hitting up the homeless shelters. You're doing the
You need some water?
You say you're doing the same thing, like you're giving out water, or you're doing something else at the homeless shelter?
Yeah, I'm doing. You need some water, Rosie? Free water, yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, bro. Pull up right here. Yeah, I'm doing the homeless shelters. I'm gonna be doing jackets, blankets, shit like that, just preparing people for the winter. I know it's hot down here and whatnot, but it's still winter is winter everywhere. I don't give a fuck if it's the west side, west coast, or the east coast. It's still gonna get a little nippy. It was. I appreciate it, bro. No problem, man. Y'all, man. Oh yeah, no problem, man. Take care. Yourself, bro? No, me and my boy Stan. Well, we got a team together called Tour for the Poor. News organization called Revolutionary Blackout. You want to check me out, man? It's called Revolutionary Blackout. Can't miss it, because we're the first black people you're gonna see in that motherfucker yelling about America. So you'll see us. Instagram, Facebook, all of it. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. All right. So he muted it because he's talking private talk. So, yeah, man. This is great work that Rome is doing out there for Tour for the Poor. Like I said earlier in the stream, RBN is out in Jacksonville. I'm sorry, Jackson, not Jacksonville, Jackson, Mississippi, representing, and also going to be in Washington, D.C. with Sabby at the Hands Off Julian Assange rally. So just loving the work we're doing out in the community. We're going to be getting off. I'm going to see if he has any last words, and then we're going to be getting off here. But you saw the thing with Jimmy Dore, that lady, and his people just came in and started protesting her. What I'm astonished by is that Raytheon executives on Raytheon boards, how are you teaching? One, how are you teaching at all? And then two, how are you teaching a climate change class? It's just crazy. Rome, you back? Oh, hold on. It says you're muted. It says you're muted.
Oh, no, I was just talking to the people trying to get this dude to watch Revolutionary Blackout. Some people have rolled past. I thought they needed water, but we already got them. But it's looking good so far, man. We just cruising through the neighborhood. We have found a black community in Mississippi, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
So we riding around, showing love to the people. But that's all I want to do. I don't want to hold up the stream houses any longer. I just want to give you an update on what's going on, get the people an update. I know they put their money into this. People put their time into this for me, promoting it and whatnot. Just want to get everybody an update of what we're doing. I should have pictures and videos later. They'll be on my Twitter.
All right, and we got to get that on the website too. All these pictures you got, Tour for the Poor, email that or something, because Jess needs it for the website for the
Oh, yeah.
website, the community part on the website. All right, Rome. So you keep doing the good work, sir, and you know, check in anytime you see me on at least. But yeah, man. Good work. I'm gonna be heading out here, so I'll put you in the back. And any last words you want to say before I put you in the back?
No, not really. Just stay smooth, man. Much love to everybody. Thank you for contributing, making this shit so. And stay smooth, shit. That's all we can do. Death to America.
All right.
Hey, you need some
All right,
water?
I'll put you in the back. I put him in the back. He's still giving out water. Thanks for this super chat, Rome. Did you get our DM about songs? Rome is in the back. He's hearing me say this. Let me put him in a here and see if he answers. You have an answer for this, Rome? Did you get our DM about songs?
No, I ain't get no DM about no songs. I'll check though. If you can re-DM me, I get a whole bunch of DMs, so you never know.
Yeah, put it re-DM so he come to the top of the thing and he can see it because now he knows to look for it. All right, I'll put you back in the back. All right, so thank you for that super chat, Rome. You're doing great work for TYT jokes. Those are jokes. Please don't. Yeah, no, of course not. Doing great work for the community, for Tour for the Poor, for RBN, for all of us. So he's out there. All right, so I'll take that off of the screen, and I just want to play 2 more minutes of the video with Jimmy Dore because it's crazy when he reads the because he's going to read what her position is. So I'm going to resume back in. Now, remember, we're in the midst of her teaching a class and protesters just walked in, and that's where we're at. Just going to continue the video.
Year 4 to go to Harvard so they can get a class about climate change. I guess so. I guess that's what
from a Raytheon.
From a Raytheon, from a lady from Raytheon. She's going to teach the kids at Harvard about climate change. By the way, the kids at Harvard, do you not have the internet?
I didn't. I realized it was Harvard because normally this would be like a lot. This is kind of a smart thing to protest, which I'm unused to seeing.
Yeah.
Usually it's about some drivel, and it's like this is like an actual thing.
So, and just remember who she's on the board of Raytheon. On the board of directors of the Council on Foreign Relations. Oh. She is also a member of the International Advisory Group for the British law firm Linklater's, columnist for Bloomberg Opinion, and a consultant to companies. Plus, she is also, so she's basically a walking conflict of interest.
I mean, that's the most I've ever seen together in one resume.
I think that was her major in college, conflict of interest.
Advanced
conflict of interest. Her resume couldn't be more unethical if it said gangster, cop, lawyer, judge, and consultant to companies. So anyway, so they're going to go get
We can see your war crime. Megan O'Sullivan, you can't hide. We can see your war crimes.
Megan O'Sullivan, you can't hide.
We can see your war crimes.
When missiles fly, people die, and O'Sullivan's profits multiply.
When missiles fly, people die, and O'Sullivan's profits multiply.
When missiles fly, people die,
and O'Sullivan's profits multiply.
I would actually be very happy to talk to you.
When missiles fly, people die.
I'll be happy to talk to you. They try to play that bullshit.
Nice.
Wow.
I would be very happy to write in her face. I would like to maybe let her do her set. Maybe she's funny.
It's already pretty funny. She's doing this.
Here we go.
People die. O'Sullivan's profits multiply. When missiles fly, people die. O'Sullivan's profits multiply. When missiles fly, people die. O'Sullivan's profits multiply. In addition to her position as a professor at Harvard Kennedy School, Megan O'Sullivan serves on the board of directors of Raytheon, the world's second largest weapons developer. Moreover, from 2006 to 2007, Megan O'Sullivan served under President George W. Bush as Deputy National Security Advisor for Iraq.
Next time, open with that.
Yeah, you should open with that.
We got the rhyme part. Did get that, but the meat.
War crimes are good to open with, though, too.
Was on the ground to oversee the Bush administration's troop surge, in which 20,000 new occupying soldiers came into Iraq. As a former member of Raytheon, and as one of the key architects of the barbaric invasion of Iraq, Megan O'Sullivan has the blood of hundreds of thousands on her hands. She directs a weapons company while teaching public policy. She directs a weapons company while teaching public policy. She directs a weapons company while teaching public policy. She directs a weapons company while teaching public policy. She directs a weapons company while teaching public policy. Push invade two countries. Shame on Harvard Kennedy. Push invade two countries. Shame on Harvard Kennedy.
So people like Cornel West gets let go, and they keep people like her. And you heard some of the things that even Jimmy Dore read from that article, and also the person at the protest is saying about this person. How is she teaching at Harvard? I did a stream yesterday about the CIA Democrats. Do we have CIA university faculty now? Not now, but we've had it. This shit is ridiculous. All right. I think I'm gonna be getting off. There's all kind of chaos happening at my house. No internet. Chaos. But I am going to end it here. Thank you, Jimmy. This wasn't a regular segment. So we're not going to watch the full video or anything like that. I just thought it was very interesting, in particular, that she's Raytheon and she is a college professor at one of what people consider to be one of the top colleges. I don't, but Harvard. I think it's very telling. I'm just checking to see if there's any news I need to report before I check out here. Anything breaking that I need to report before I check out here? Oops, not there. I meant to go here. Let's see what's trending on Twitter. Let's see what's trending on. Oops. Say nothing here. What am I doing wrong? Yeah. Doing something wrong. Oops. Try this again. All right. Let's see. Okay, now it looks like it should be coming. Oh, guess not. Can't see what's trending. All right, so then I'll leave you with a outro video. And so this weekend, tomorrow is the or maybe I should do that. So let me just tell you what's happening tomorrow. Comrade Misty. Let's go to Comrade Misty's page. She's one of the organizers of the event that's happening tomorrow. And let's click on this here so you can see the first item here. So make sure you check this out. Hands off Julian Assange, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm assuming that's Eastern. October 8th, that's tomorrow, U.S. Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue. Here are some of the people that'll be speaking. Ben Cohen, we just had him on not too earlier this week or last week. We had him on. Marsha Coleman Adabayo, Randy Credico, David DeCamp, Stephen Donzinger, Chip Givens, Kevin Gottstola, Chris Hedges, Joe Lauria, Garland Nixon. It looks like some name is cut off here. And then John Kakirowi. Now, John was on on our anti-imperialist summit. So apologies, John, for getting your name wrong yet again. Not mentioned in this particular graphic, but Sabby is also going to be speaking. Let me see if they list some of the speakers here. Just quickly go through them. Jill Stein was cut off. Okay, so here is one that doesn't have the names cut off. Sorry. So this one doesn't have the names cut off. Garland Nixon, Sabrina Salvati, and Jill Stein. I'm sure it's more than that. So here's another speaker, James Bovar. He was added. Here is Jimmy Dore's wife, Steph, talking. I guess they posted a video about Julian Assange event. Let's see.
Angela Davis, the activist, said, "I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept." That's why we're here. That's why we're watching. We're united. Hands off Assange. It's time to bring him home to his family.
So that was Steph. I'm just going to see if there's any other announcements. There's Dan Cohen. I said David earlier. I meant to say Dan. Dan Cohen. He was on our show, Nick and CJ show earlier. Was it this week or last week sometime? So you see her really going at it. Here goes two more here. I think this is the one guy running for senator for the Green Party, Matthew Hope. He will also be speaking. And let's see who else. Spike Cohen is another speaker. So these are just some of the speakers that are going to be appearing tomorrow. Is Athene speaking? I know she's going there. She told me. Oh, this is the same. I'm sorry. The same one I was just watching. Let's see if there's any other announcements I can show before we jet out here. This might be it. No, I mean, that's not it, but this might be it. That's close. I know there's more. Oh, let's see what this video is. Oh, there's video content. Video, like several people did videos to talk about their reasoning about Julian Assange. So this is great. Let's hang on a second. All right, I really gotta go because that beeping is the battery's about to die, and I'm using the Wi-Fi, or I'm using the hotspot on my phone, and it's about to die. So check out the Julian Assange event this weekend. I'll stop there. And these are just some more people speaking about it. This is Roger Waters. This is Richard Medhurst. Just speaking about the event that's upcoming. That's tomorrow. Check it out. It's cool to see so many people I knew from Twitter and in this struggle actually going in person and doing this work. So just shout out to all those people I know, like really know, that's going out there to do this work. Just awesome thing to see Camp Dada, now see this, and just to seeing these different events pop up from people who we met on Twitter, and we're finally saying we've had enough. There's no more of this. So I'll leave you with this video from Mr. T, and when he was on the Letterman show. So thank you for joining. I'm signing off on this Friday. Rome out in Jacksonville, Mississippi, and Sabby out in New York doing work for RBN and for the struggle. So just make sure you support them. I'm out for today and the weekend unless something really pops off. I won't be back until Monday. Here it is, Mr. T.
Your money. And I don't have a lot of friends. Yeah. You know, but they weren't my friends when I was poor, so I tell them I'll be petting me on the back now.
Now, what about your friends from where you used to live in Chicago, right? Do you have buddies?
Friends. I don't, they weren't my friends.
You had no friends then?
No, they called my name and things like that. But now I got a whole lot of so-called friends. Now they want to be a part of me. Yeah. But I don't play that because I watch what happened to other so-called stars or celebrity when they make it big. People didn't believe in me. They didn't want to spend, they wouldn't give me the time of day. I wouldn't even say that. I don't want to be hanging with that wild-looking guy, that funny haircut and all that. You know,
Yeah.
they used to really laugh. They don't laugh no more.
No, that's right.
You know.
Yeah.
But, so what we're gonna do here? You know.
No, wait a minute. I got your money.
And I don't have a lot of friends. You know.